Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Matt and I do like video games. I hope you all had a great weekend. I know I've had a great weekend. Been doing nothing but playing Diablo 4 because it launched early access. It is phenomenal. But in today's video, we are not talking about Diablo 4. We are talking about the Xbox Games Showcase because that is coming up this Sunday. I'm looking forward to it. I know a lot of you are looking forward to it. And so I figured why not over here on the channel do a predictions video since the showcase is this week technically. So I figured we'll start the week off with a predictions video for the Xbox Showcase. So let's get into it. Now, how I'm going to do this, guys, is Xbox has a list of Xbox game studios over on the website as well as Bethesda Studios. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each individual studio and I'm going to list a prediction for that studio for the showcase as well as a hope or a dream, you know? So let's get into it. First up on the list is actually 343 Industries. And I think this one is obvious. I think they're definitely going to be there. I wouldn't be expecting anything new from 343 in terms of a game, but Halo Infinite Season 4 is right around the corner, quite literally. I think it starts the 20th, which isn't very long after the showcase, so I'd imagine we'll see Season 4's trailer there. They're bringing back Infection for Season 4. That's going to be huge because, I mean, Halo 3, Halo Reach, Halo 4, Halo 5, all those games, Infection was pretty damn fun. It's a really big thing that's missing from Infinite, so to see it coming to Infinite is great news. And that is my prediction for 343. Now, that's not even really a prediction. I feel like that's kind of a given. It's going to be there more than likely. But what I really hope to see, not specifically from 343, but from Halo in general, is some sort of sneak peek, even a teaser, anything, just acknowledge it exists for Tatanka for Halo. We've heard a lot about this. It started as simply just a battle royale for Halo Infinite, but from the latest reports we've had, which goes back to about a half a year ago, I think it was from Jason Schreier, that it was running on Unreal Engine and that it is much more expansive than it was originally intended to be. So it sounds like it's kind of becoming its own game as opposed to just a battle royale. So I'm interested to see more about what that is. I doubt we'll see it at the show, but I would really, really love to see that. Now up next we actually have World's Edge. Now World's Edge is a studio I don't know too much about, but as far as my prediction, I'm gonna say we'll probably see something on Age of Empires 4 coming to Xbox. I know that was slated for 2023. They never really gave a solid release date for it, so I'd assume, maybe we'll be getting another Age of Empires 4 trailer for Xbox. As for my want from the studio, honestly, I just want people to enjoy the game they're probably going to get, because I mean, these aren't really my types of games, but I know a lot of people love them, so best of luck to them on that game. Up next is the Coalition. Now this is where things I feel can get a little bit spicy because I don't assume they're going to be there. Obviously they're working on Gears 6. We heard tale that they were working on, a new IP for a while there, but then we also heard that Microsoft may have stepped in and canceled that new IP, so we don't know. I think personally it's too early to show Gears 6. However, I do think it does make sense. People have been talking about a Gears of War collection forever at this point. I wouldn't be too surprised to see something like that there. And maybe if we do see something like that there, then hey, maybe they do have a little teaser for Gears 6 that they can put together really quick for us. I don't know yet. But as far as, my predictions, I think, it's not out of the realm of possibility to expect to see the Gears collection there. Now, as for what I want to see personally from the Coalition, I really want to see that new IP. Now, again, we heard reports that, that was canceled. If it was, then hey, it looks like we'll never see it. But if it wasn't canceled, man, I would really love to see that. I would love to know what they're working on that isn't Gears, because this studio was built to make Gears of War. I'd be interested to see what they do if they were to go off and do something else. I feel like they could do something really, really cool if given the opportunity. So we'll see if that rumor ends up being true eventually, but I don't think it'll be at this show, even if it is still in development. And up next is Compulsion Games. Now this one I'm really excited for, maybe irrationally excited for, because I think Compulsion, they're not my favorite studio at Xbox, but I think they're probably the most unique. Outside of Arcane maybe, they're probably the most unique in that I feel like they're really, really creative, sometimes to a fault. I feel like the idea for We Happy Few was a brilliant idea that they just didn't have the budget to competently do or complete. I mean, I think back to 2015, I think it was, Gamescom, where they showed a trailer for We Happy Few, and I remember seeing that trailer and thinking, this game looks amazing. Like, as soon as I saw that trailer, it became one of my most anticipated games. Now, obviously, it went to early access. I bought it day one, early access, and there wasn't too much there. It was kind of very bare bones, and so I got a refund on it. But when they got acquired and the game came to Game Pass, I said, you know what, let's give it another shot. I just don't think they had the budget to do what they really wanted to do with that game, but I think the vision was there, and it was a really awesome concept. I think they're a very creative studio, and I do predict that they will be at the showcase. Obviously, we don't know what game it is they're working on, but Phil did mention that they will be announcing some new IPs. I would imagine this is one of those new IPs that will be at the showcase. Now, a few years ago, I think it was about 2 years ago at this point, maybe a year and a half, over on Windows Central, Jez Corden leaked the codename for this game, as well as a few details. I think the most interesting thing that was in that article was actually that the setting for this game is Deep South Fantasy, which sounds insane. And if that turns out to be true, then this game sounds like it's going to be super unique. And I feel much the same way I felt about the concept of We Happy Few. Just a really creative concept. I'm interested to see if they can follow through with it. I mean, if that leak even turns out to be true, of course. But I'm interested to see what they're working on nonetheless. As far as my wants for the studio, as far as my dream announcement from the studio, it would be whatever game they're working on. I would love to see Compulsion announce their game at this showcase, whatever that game might be. And up next is Double Fine. Now, this is a studio that admittedly I don't know too much about. Apparently, according to reports, they have multiple projects in the works. I know, obviously, Psychonauts 1 and 2, really beloved games. Also, they've worked on a few other beloved games that are smaller titles throughout the years ever since, you know, the original Psychonauts. People have a lot of love for Tim Schafer in that studio. So I'm interested to see what they're doing. I'm interested to see more about what's going on over there, especially if they have multiple projects in the works over there. So we'll see. But I don't really have too many expectations for this studio. Now, up next is The Initiative, and I really don't have any expectation for this studio, if I'm being honest. But I do have something that I really, really hope to see there. I know it's not going to be there, and it's obviously the only game they're working on. You guys know what it is. It's Perfect Dark. I want to see the Perfect Dark reboot. I'm almost 100% certain we will not be seeing that. But if that shows up, that's going to be a huge, huge deal. And up next is inXile Entertainment. Now, this is a studio I am very interested in because they focus mainly on RPGs. And if you guys know me, my bread and butter is first-person shooters and RPGs. I love both of them. And what's better than a first-person shooter or an RPG? It's a first-person shooter RPG. And that is exactly what inXile Entertainment is working on, according to reports, of course. They are ditching the top-down camera of the Wasteland series to go behind the gun to give us what sounds like a steampunk RPG. Now, obviously, these are just reports, these are rumors, anything can change at any given notice. This game could come out, be announced, and be something entirely different. But the reports and the rumors do have me excited and very interested to see what inXile is working on. And much like with Compulsion Games, my dream announcement for this studio is just announce your game. That's all I really want, is I just want to see what inXile is working on. Again, could probably be a CGI trailer. I'm not expecting them to dive deep into gameplay on the first announcement, but just announce your game. That would be a dream come true for me. Up next is Mojang Studios. Guys, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't care about Mojang Studios. I do not care about Minecraft. I hope that whoever does care about Minecraft gets something that they like. You know, I'm sure Minecraft will be getting like its trillionth DLC or whatever. I don't know, guys, but I'm just going to keep it a buck with you. It's not my kind of thing, but I hope anybody who does enjoy it enjoys it. But this next studio definitely is my thing, and that is Ninja Theory. Guys, I mean, I feel like every Xbox fan is excited for Ninja Theory. I don't know any Xbox fan that isn't excited for Ninja Theory. Hellblade 1 was a phenomenal game, and if you haven't played it, I mean, go ahead and play it, especially on the new consoles. It's got a bunch of different performance modes, quality modes to choose from, even on Series S. Highly recommend hopping in and checking that game out. It is fantastic. Now, if you guys remember back in 2019 at the Game Awards, we did get our first sneak peek at Hellblade 2, and that was the official announcement trailer. But in 2021, we got the gameplay reveal for Hellblade 2 at the Game Awards. Now that gameplay, it looked amazing. The transitions between cutscene and actual gameplay looked fantastic, but there wasn't much action in there. Or there wasn't much combat in there, I should say. There was some action, I'll give it that. But there wasn't much combat. And what I would like to see from the showing from Hellblade at this showcase is please a focus on combat. I feel like that's the biggest question on everyone's mind for Hellblade 2. You know, people love the first game, but one of the big complaints about the first game is that the combat got a little bit repetitive. And for me, I really enjoyed it, but I can definitely see where people are coming from when they say that. And there was that report a few years ago that Ninja Theory actually sent out some of its animation team for combat training just so they could nail down the combat in this game. So that has me very excited. Obviously, I'm excited regardless for Hellblade 2. Like I said, I love the first game. I really can't wait to see more of this game. And Phil Spencer did mention it in his interview over there on Kind of Funny, so I imagine we will definitely be seeing this game at the showcase. Now the next studio on the list, guys, is Obsidian, and much like Compulsion and Exile and Ninja Theory, my prediction and my want are the exact same thing. I want to see Avowed. I predict we will see Avowed. I'm very hyped for it, guys. I think it's about time now that we can say, hey, we need to see Avowed, right? It's been in development ever since right after they were acquired. I think that was 2018. So they've had about 5 years to work on it. Obviously with COVID, you know, there was also a little bit of a reboot in there. But I think it's time now that we can see Avowed. I'm very excited for this game. I got my fingers crossed that it shows up at this showcase, but I am predicting that it will be there. And up next, guys, is Playground Games, and I did make a little bit of a video on this last Friday. In fact, it was my last video on the channel, and that is, did Xbox tease Fable for the Xbox showcase? Now, for me personally, I know a lot of people are saying, hey, they're teasing Fable. I'm thinking they teased Fable, but not the new one. I'm thinking they're teasing maybe some sort of collection for Fable 1, 2, and 3, maybe some sort of remake for Fable 2. I don't know, but I'm thinking, that's just my gut feeling, is hey, they're teasing some sort of collection for Fable 1, 2, and 3. I mean, but regardless of what they show, whether it's Fable 1, 2, and 3 collection or Fable reboot, I'll be happy with any of those because I'm excited for the Fable reboot, and I haven't played Fable 2 or 3, so if they announce a collection, I will happily dive back in and check those out. And up next is Rare. Now, I expect Rare to be there in some way, shape, or form, most likely with some DLC or content for Sea of Thieves. I really don't expect to see anything from Everwild. As for a want from this studio, they're not my favorite studio. I think it would be cool to see more of Everwild, but I'm really not counting on that. So I think, you know, they'll probably be there with some Sea of Thieves stuff, and that'll be it. And the next studio is Turn 10 Studios. Now, we all just kind of assume this studio will be there. Obviously, we're getting Forza Motorsport this year. We assume we'll get a look at Forza Motorsport. We also know that later in the week after the showcase, we'll be getting a look at the single-player campaign for Forza Motorsport. So there's a lot to look forward to if you're a fan of Turn 10 and Forza Motorsport for the next week or so. Next up is Undead Labs. Now, my prediction for Undead Labs, I don't think they'll be there. I'm predicting they will not be there. What I would like to see, obviously, just like anybody else, is State of Decay 3, but I really am predicting they won't be at this showcase. And guys, that's a wrap on Xbox Game Studios specifically. Now, up next is Bethesda Softworks, and this is where things get pretty exciting for me, because first on the list of Bethesda Softworks studios is Bethesda Game Studios, and of course we're going to be having a Starfield Direct, so that is a shoo-in. We already know about that. But will they be there in any other capacity? That's a good question, because I'm wondering if we're going to see an update on the Fallout 4 Next Gen patch that we're supposed to be getting sometime this year. So if ever we were going to see more info about that, I think it would be this showcase or maybe even QuakeCon, but I got my fingers crossed that it shows up at this showcase and we can get a date for the Fallout 4 Next Gen patch. Up next is ZeniMax Online. Now, if you're not familiar with ZeniMax Online, think Elder Scrolls Online. They are responsible for that, and that game is absolutely massive now, but they are hard at work on a new IP of some sort. We don't know what, but perhaps that shows its face at the showcase. I'd be interested to see that. I was really excited for Elder Scrolls Online. I had it pre-ordered, it launched, it was not in the best state when it launched. There wasn't too much to do when it launched, but looking at where the game's at now, there's a ton to do. They seem like a very quality studio. I'm excited to see what they're working on next. And up next is Tango Gameworks, and guys, we are just zooming through this list one at a time, alright? So for Tango Gameworks, I'm not expecting a new game announcement of any kind. I think it's a little bit too early for that. I know Tango released Ghostwire Tokyo, and then obviously like a year later they released Hi-Fi Rush. I feel like they've been a busy studio. I don't think they got anything new for us in that regard. But I don't know if you guys saw over on Twitter last week, I think it was, there was some speculation about maybe seeing a new Hi-Fi Rush DLC sometime soon, because over on Steam, Hi-Fi Rush seems to have gotten some new achievements. So perhaps that means we'll be seeing Hi-Fi Rush at the showcase in the form of some new DLC, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm not going to say no to more Hi-Fi Rush content. I really, really love that game. It was like the surprise hit of the year for me. Amazing game. Highly recommend checking it out if you haven't already. But if we're getting new DLC for that, I'll be very, very happy. Now up next is id Software, and guys, I love id Software. Doom 2016, one of my favorite games of last generation. Doom Eternal, another phenomenal game. They make great games over id Software. I'm really excited to see what they're working on. However, I do not predict that they will be at this showcase, but my want for them is to be at this showcase. I want to see what they're working on. I know they've been working on a new game for a while now. I'm interested to see what that game is. I'm sure a lot of people are. I got my fingers crossed that it shows up, but I'm not counting on it. And up next is my favorite studio of all time, and that is Arcane. Guys, I don't expect to see Arcane at all for a while. I think Arcane Austin is laying low after Redfall. As for Arcane Lyon, I think it might be a little bit too early to see what they're working on. We do know they're working on a new game. Everybody kind of hopes it's Dishonored 3. I've got my fingers crossed it's Dishonored 3, but I think we're going to have to wait and see for that one. As for Arcane Austin, we know, or at least we've heard reports, that they are going back to work on a brand new game, but I think it's going to be a while before we see anything from Arcane Austin or Arcane Lyon. And up next is Alpha Dog. Guys, I'm not expecting to see Alpha Dog at this showcase in any way, shape, or form. They're more of a mobile developer, more of a support studio for Bethesda. I wouldn't expect them to be announcing a new IP or anything anytime soon. And guys, before we get into our last studio, I want to bring up one more support studio over at Bethesda that I don't think will be there, but I think it's worth noting, and that is Roundhouse Studio. Now, Roundhouse Studio is worth noting because, like I said, I don't think they'll be at the showcase in any way, shape, or form, but I do think they will be doing something pretty important going forward, and that is overseeing development of Redfall content, because I feel like Arcane is just kind of done with Redfall. I feel like they don't ever want to see that game again. We saw those reports from Jason Schreier this past weekend that, you know, the development of Redfall was not pleasant. Arcane lost a lot of their team during that development. They didn't want to make the game. I think as soon as Arcane shipped that game, they were done with it. They don't want to look at it anymore. I think Roundhouse Studio steps up to take over development of Redfall going forward, because they were credited on Redfall as the support studio. So I could see that being the case going forward as Arcane Austin moves on to their next IP, or their next new game, I should say. But like I said, regardless, I don't expect to see Roundhouse Studios at this showcase. I don't expect to see Redfall at this showcase. I think they're just going to lay low for a while, maybe come out later in the summer and talk about the plans going forward. And guys, up next is the final studio, and I want to end this video with a heavy hitter, or at least a studio I believe to be a heavy hitter, and that is Machine Games. Now, Wolfenstein 1 and 2, or at least, you know, the reboots of Wolfenstein last generation, were absolutely phenomenal. And then after Microsoft came in and acquired Bethesda, we kind of saw that, hey, they're working on Indiana Jones as well. So I wonder if we'll see Indiana Jones at the showcase. In fact, I'm going to predict that we will see Indiana Jones at this showcase. Now, my dream announcement for this showcase from Machine Games would be Wolfenstein 3. I do not think we'll be seeing Wolfenstein 3 at this showcase. However, I do predict we will see Indiana Jones at the showcase. I'm excited to see more about Indiana Jones. I would also expect it to be a multi-platform game, because I would assume this deal was in progress before Microsoft stepped in and acquired ZeniMax. So I would imagine Indiana Jones will be a multi-plat game, but I'm excited to see more about it. But guys, that wraps up my expectations for this Xbox showcase this year. I think I'm being reasonable, but let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. What do you expect to be there? What are your dream announcements for the showcase? Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking. Leave a like if you like the video. And if you're enjoying this kind of content and you want to stay up to date with it going forward over here on the channel, the best way to do that is consider subscribing, consider ringing that notification bell, because that helps you stay up to date with everything that happens over here on the channel, and it helps push me in the algorithm, helps promote the videos, helps get me more viewers, and I really, really do appreciate that. And with that being said, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.